Grupo Supervielle, SANYSE, SUPV, BCBA, SUPV. Full-scale investment analysis. Date: September 11, 2025. Sector: Financial Services. Argentina Analyst View. Hold market weight. Executive Summary. Grupo Supervielle is one of Argentina's established universal financial services groups. Active in commercial and retail banking, insurance, asset management, and payments. The bank has shown resilience through Argentina's volatile macro cycles, supported by a strong deposit base and diversified fee income. Recommendation: market weight/hold. Upside: leverage to credit growth, recovery, improving net interest income, and operating efficiency. Risks: currency depreciation, inflation adjustments under IAS 29 regulatory policy changes, and potential asset quality deterioration. Valuation: fair relative to Argentine peers, trading on modest P, B, and P/E multiples, with upside capped by country risk. 1. Company overview and business model. Founded as a family-controlled financial group, Grupo Supervielle operates through Banco Supervielle and other subsidiaries in banking, insurance, asset management, and payment services. Core drivers: net interest income from loans and securities, fee and commission income cards, insurance, asset management, insurance premiums, and treasury activities. Competitive strengths: established retail franchise, diversified product mix, and dual listing Argentina and NYSE via ADS. 2. Industry and market position. The Argentine banking sector is moderately concentrated. Main competitors: Banco Macro, Grupo Financiero Galicia, BBVA Argentina, and Banco Patagonia. Supervielle holds a mid-tier market share, but is well positioned in retail and SME lending. The industry is heavily influenced by monetary policy, inflation, and regulatory frameworks. Banks in Argentina typically trade at lower valuation multiples than peers in Brazil, Chile, or Mexico due to sovereign risk. 3. Revenue streams. Banking, lending, largest contributor, primarily consumer and SME loans, payments and cards, growth driver via payroll and retail card services. Insurance and asset management, diversifies income through underwriting, pensions, and funds. Treasury FX, volatile contribution depending on inflation and exchange rate policies. 4. Profitability and efficiency. Key metrics: 2024 audited and 2025 interim ROE, recovering, supported by higher net interest margins. ROA, modest but stable in line with local peers. Net interest margin NIM, improved in 2024 to 2025 as lending repriced in high nominal rate environment. Cost-to-income ratio, trending downward due to digital investments and operating leverage. Provisioning, conservative but volatile due to macro shocks. Trend: 3 to 5 year recovery from pandemic and inflation-driven contraction. Profitability closely tied to Argentina's cyclical dynamics. 5. Liquidity and solvency funding, primarily deposit-based. Deposits grew year-on-year. Loan-to-deposit ratio, conservative below 100%, providing stability. Capital adequacy, maintained above local regulatory requirements, with buffers supported by retained earnings. Debt profile, limited reliance on external wholesale funding. Refinancing risk low relative to global peers, but exposed to sovereign risk sentiment. 6. Growth in earnings. Revenue growth, strong nominal growth in 2023 to 2024, driven by lending and fee expansion. EPS trends, volatile due to inflation accounting under IAS 29, underlying recurring earnings more stable. Forecasts. Analysts project moderate earnings recovery tied to credit expansion and controlled costs. Earnings revisions, frequently adjusted due to macro uncertainty and provisioning cycles. 7. Dividend and capital allocation. Dividend yield, modest in ADR terms, but competitive in local peso terms. Payout ratio, conservative, balancing shareholder return and capital preservation. Buybacks, none of significance. Priority remains capital strength and digital investment. CapEx R&D focused on technology, digital banking platforms, and branch optimization. 8. Management and governance board and executives experience leadership with significant insider ownership aligning management with shareholder interests. Compensation linked to performance and long-term growth. Governance quality, reported ESG and governance practices are improving but remain below developed market standards. Insider activity, stable. Founding family continues to be involved. 9. News and sentiment, recent filings. 2024 Annual Report and Q2 2025 Interim Financials filed with regulators. Market tone, neutral to cautious. Sentiment tied to Argentine macro volatility. Analyst coverage, limited but generally consistent. Hold ratings with cautious optimism on knee growth. 10. Risks, macroeconomic, peso volatility, high inflation, recession risk. Regulatory BCRA reserve requirements, capital rules, and intervention risk. Credit, non-performing loans may rise in downturn scenarios. Liquidity, deposits stable but vulnerable to confidence shocks. Accounting, IAS 29 adjustments can distort reported earnings and equity. 11. Peer comparison peers. Banco, Macro, Galicia, Patagonia, P.B. Supervielle trades at a discount, reflecting risk premium. P.E. Volatile, but broadly in line with Argentine peers. Row, slightly below top-tier peers, but improving. Efficiency, comparable to mid-sized peers, improving with digital initiatives. 12. Valuation approach. Relative valuation, PB and PE suggests fair valuation versus peers. DCF base case assumes 15% nominal loan growth in 2025, tapering to 6 to 8% by 2029, stable NIM, and cost-to-income improvement. Cost of equity, 12 to 15% to reflect country risk. Terminal growth, 3% nominal, result base case. Current market price broadly reflects fair value. Bull case, 20 to 30% upside if credit expansion and fee growth exceed expectations. Bear case, 20 to 30% downside under FX shock or provisioning spike. 13. Technical analysis trend. ADSs have gained momentum in 2025, but remain volatile. Indicators. RSI and MACD suggest short-term consolidation risk. Support levels. Recent support around USD 2.802, 3.00 per ADS. Resistance near USD 3.60 to 3.8014 ESG and governance. Sustainability reporting, provided in annual reports. Focus on financial inclusion, governance, and responsible lending. ESG risks. Exposure to climate and governance risks common in Argentine banks. Board practices, risk and audit committees in place. Improving transparency. Divestment thesis and scenarios. Bull case. Argentina stabilizes, credit growth accelerates, NIM expands, and asset quality remains healthy. Material upside. Base case. Gradual earnings recovery, stable dividend, fair valuation. Bear case. Peso collapse, inflation shock, rising NPLs, significant downside. Recommendation, hold market weight. Appropriate for investors seeking Argentina exposure, but should be sized carefully in portfolios. Conclusion: Grupo Supervielle is a well-managed mid-tier Argentine bank with a strong deposit base, improving profitability and potential upside in a stabilized macro environment. However, heavy exposure to Argentina's volatile economic and policy landscape caps risk-adjusted returns. Position sizing, currency hedging, and close monitoring of quarterly loan growth, NIM trends, and regulatory changes are essential for investors considering exposure.